and welcome to the David Thompson Show, fighting tyranny one day at a time. It's Friday here, and I'm glad you're with me. We're going to be talking about some of the problems the Trump administration's having with statistical information. At least the stuff he doesn't believe is correct, which is everything that doesn't show that he's the greatest man in the universe. Now, before we get started, let's go back and set the stage here. 2016 through 2020. As painful as that is for me to think about, as painful as it is for many of you to think about, let's go back there. Let's man up and go there. And there was a press conference, and whatever was asked, I don't know, Trump comes out and says, fake news. Well, there's where all it started. Fake news. So CNBC, NBC, MSNBC, whatever newspapers were in this press conference, whatever reporters were there, fake news, unless it's the news Donald Trump wants and believes in. So he created a narrative that everybody but him and maybe Fox News will give you true news, will give you the real news, non-fake. Of course, this is crazy talk. Now, this is the same guy that said, I can fix all the problems in this country. He hasn't done so yet. Not going to, but people, many people, believe this stuff. As crazy it is to believe it, they believe in their hearts that he's going to fix everything, that he is the man, that everybody else is lying about him, that he's the most honest, upright, good man in the history of the presidency. Okay? Now, as crazy as that is, it gets worse. Now we're in a battle against fake news. He thinks that every statistic that comes out against him is, again, fake news. In fact, we're going to start with the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Their job is, quite frankly, to give you statistics. Now, they send people out like a scavenger hunt. They're economists. They send them into the field. And I believe there's between 450 and 500 of them. And they go to different states and different towns, and they take data readings. They go to anywhere a consumer would go to see what the prices are, and they compare them monthly against the last month's statistics, and they come up with inflation data. Now, this isn't good enough for the Trump administration, who froze hiring across the board and froze hiring at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So now they're saying that, well, there's not enough people. They're not going to the places they need to go, so their statistics are wrong because they disagree with what Trump wants them to say. So many economists outside of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, mostly Trump people, are saying that we can't trust the inflation rate because they're not doing the right things in the field. Of course, they are still going into the field, but what the Trump administration is saying, and I quote, they're turning to less effective methods to fill in the blanks. They're really making an educated guess. Well, that can't be true either because they're using statistics to make the numbers, to come up with what they believe are the actual inflation numbers. And we can disagree in a way, but the reality is that the Bureau of Labor Statistics have done this for many years, and they're pretty accurate. And they do show what inflation is most likely through this country, based on an amalgamation of numbers they've gleaned from across the nation. Maybe it's 10% less than the year before, but believe me, you can still get a good number. You can still say it's either going up or down. But see, Donald Trump wants it to show that it's going down. So any number they come up with, if it's not going down, he doesn't want it. He's going to send people out to discredit them. And this is what he does. This is his nature. This is what he does constantly. That's why we can't believe anything he does, because he is a master manipulator. So the question comes then, what else does he complain about? Here's another one. Now, Politico reports that Trump officials delayed the farm trade report over deficit forecasts. This is a trade report they didn't like. So right off the bat here, Donald Trump's group, along with Donald Trump, his regime, he didn't like that the farm trade report showed a deficit forecast. He wanted to show the opposite, of course. This has to do with his tariffs. It says here, Trump officials delay and redact trade report that makes Trump's tariffs look bad. Listen, you don't need this trade report to make his tariffs look bad. Globally, everyone knows his tariffs are bad. This is not a secret except for those who follow him around like puppy dogs. The reality has been and always will be that these trade tariffs are horrible. Bad news. Not a good idea. Horrible. And are now affecting Americans, are affecting sectors of our economy. The farming sector has been bashed by his trade tariffs. Bashed. I digress. Rabbit hole. You see, the Trump narrative is that his tariffs are aimed at closing the trade deficit. Experts are skeptical that it will work. Now, Trump's press secretary, the propaganda minister, Caroline Leavitt, keeps pushing this narrative over and over again. She gets in front of everybody and she'll say, the best thing in the world. We're going to narrow the trade deficit. It's working. It's working. It's working. It's like click your heels together 3 times and you'll be back in Kansas. Well, Caroline, you never left Kansas. Maybe you should stay there. So this doesn't stop here. Okay, the U.S. Department of Agriculture was set to release a report that predicted that Trump's economic policies would actually increase the nation's trade deficit when it came to farm goods this year. Obviously, how many countries, China being the biggest, are no longer buying pork and soybeans and grain and wheat from the United States? They canceled the orders. Canceled them. Billions of dollars. Of course, the trade deficit's not going to go down. It's going to go up. But again, a rabbit hole. That's a whole nother story with China. Now, Politico, they came out with basically a rating for bullshit. So Politico pretty much wrote this, that the Trump administration didn't like the data. It was inconvenient to them. So they blocked the written analysis that's normally attached to the farm report because they disliked what it said. They refused to allow it to be published. Now, of course, what we don't know can't hurt us, right? Okay, so I'm not done yet. So the Congressional Budget Office, we'll just call it the CBO, came out with its latest analysis on the big, ugly, fascist budget bill that Donald Trump and his Republicans are trying to get through the Senate now. They say it will increase the deficit by $2.4 trillion. Now, that's a very low number compared to what many people like myself believe. We believe it's going to be much higher. This will also toss about 10 million more people off their health insurance. Great job, Donald Trump and the Republicans. Now, the Congressional Budget Office was looking at this bill from the start, and they've known this to be a turd from the start. It's always been a turd. This bill is laden with inconsistencies, taking poor people and throwing them into the streets, forcing people off of health care, and transferring wealth from the poorest of the poor in our youth to the richest of the rich. This is no secret. This is what it's doing. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson, this guy's a loser and should be arrested for crimes against the American people. He's a loser. He's a liar. And I don't trust anything this man says and never will. But he's out defending the Donald Trump administration. They must have got something on him. He said the CBO is totally unreliable because it's run by Democrats. Now, as I mentioned, a friend of mine asked me where I get my information. She says, is it from Democrats? You see, there's a hotline that I call to get data. It's called the Democratic Hotline. You call and they'll give you the data that contradicts Donald Trump. That must be where I get it. This is how people think. It's because they've been overwhelmed with Donald Trump's lies, indoctrinated into the Trump methodology. No one else has the truth. No one but him. So the Democrats run the CBO, and they're making sure that it shows that Donald Trump's budget runs a $2.4 trillion deficit. Of course, everybody that ran the numbers around the world know that it's going to create a deficit much higher than $2.4 trillion. He should be thanking the CBO that it's only $2.4 trillion because it really is going to be more. It just is what it is. But I digress. Now, Trump's propaganda minister, Caroline Leavitt, chimed in and tried to discredit the CBO as well. She said, and I quote, "It's an institution that's become partisan." You see, they have to play this down because, once again, he's telling everybody that his big, beautiful, ugly tax bill is going to be a benefit for everybody in the country, that there won't be any deficits, that it's going to make everybody rich, that this is a great bill that's going to help everybody that's a billionaire. She just leaves that out. It's going to help everybody that's a billionaire. That's cut. Now, according to the Washington Post, who is not always against Donald Trump, the Congressional Budget Office is firmly nonpartisan. Its fact checker, Glenn Kessler, gave the White House's disingenuous claims about CBO's political leanings 4 Pinocchios. That's as high as they give them. 4 is the highest you can get. So Caroline Leavitt's nose is as long as the state of California. I wondered why she kept looking down. So the crybaby Republicans are at it again. Even Republican Congressman Jason Smith, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, chimed in. And he's one of the main Republicans that was behind this big, ugly, fascist budget bill. He said this, and I quote, this is a quote, I watched it myself. Quote, he literally said, unless I like the number, I'm against the number. Okay, this is fascism at its highest point. This is what we're in for right now. This is where we're at, people. Wake up. They don't want any numbers that contradict their narrative. None, zero, zilch. So who do we believe? Well, obviously we have to believe Jason Smith and Mike Johnson and Caroline Leavitt. They're telling us the truth because they're honest people. Caroline Leavitt wears a cross. That must mean she's holy, that she's not going to tell you a lie. But all that woman has done since she's become press secretary is lie after lie after lie after lie. Your one place, your one-stop shop for lies, the office of the press secretary in Washington, D.C., of the Trump regime. It's sad. Probably a nice person, I guess. But these MAGA people are dangerous. Go down the list of them. Kristi Noem. I mean, you got a whole list of people in his administration. The women of MAGA. Frightening. Look, Linda McMahon. Wow. Out there. Can't even write a letter. Basically failed English. She's the Secretary of Education. I mean, we can go down the list here. I'm not. Because really, these people don't deserve any more attention than they get. These are the fascist MAGA people of the Trump administration. And they're going to defend him no matter what he does. No matter how outrageous, no matter how big the lie, no matter how crazy it sounds, they're going to protect him. And they're going to make the right, those people that are supporting him, stay on the bandwagon. Although many are now starting to jump off for their lives. So where do we go from here, people? As I've been saying, we need to join together. We need to fight tyranny. You must join the revolution. You have to. There's nobody behind us. There's no reinforcements coming. It's us. Us versus them. That's unfortunate. That shows you how divided this country really is. It shouldn't be, but it's become that. Us versus them. Where did you get your information? From the Democrats? How do you even deal with that? How do you even have a conversation with somebody that's been so brainwashed that you can't get through to them? You don't. We must rise up. 2026 elections are around the corner. We must trash these people, pull these fascists out of their offices and replace them with people who want freedom again, who want honesty again. It's hard to do. How many people fit those qualifications anymore? How many people can we find? Well, we have to. And then in 2028, we got to make sure this guy doesn't try to eliminate our elections and stay in office. This man will do it if he has a chance. It's something that's on his mind. He may be talked out of it, but keep in mind, this guy truly believes he should be a leader for life. No doubt, because the psychological profiles done on him proves that out. Sociopath, psychopath, narcissist. Yes. Let's be wary. Let's fight now. Let's join together now. So that's all the time I have today. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Also, make sure you go over to our sister channel, Nights Around the Fire. There's a link in the description box. If you like to hear about mysteries, legends, and myths. That's a great channel for you. I hope you have a great weekend. God bless you, and I'll see you next week right here on your favorite place for news, information, analysis, and commentary, The David Tomsic Show. See ya.